All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim. Today's date is February 7th, 2023. Welcome all my new subscribers and older alike. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and select all. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a new presentation. Now, what I wanted to bring forth today is that when I come across something that's kind of interesting or that's concerning, I make my decisions on what I do based on that. And when I came across this article, which is actually kind of old, but it's new to me, I just found it disturbing on so many levels, man. And it made me think of some of the reservations that some of us have about taking DNA tests and letting them have our DNA or whatever. Because when I came across this article, that's the first thing that came to my mind. What are they doing, man? Like as men, as so-called scientists and this and that, geneticists and all that, they're always overstepping their bounds from what God wants us to do or whatever, or trying to quote unquote basically play God. And they do it under the guise of trying to find ways to to cure certain health issues and diseases and stuff like that. And so yeah, it sounds real admirable, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. What I mean by that is that they can say one thing publicly, but privately they're conducting a totally different experiment that we have no idea about. Many years ago, remember they came up with the first cloned sheep. I think it was Mali or something like that. I mean, they successfully cloned a sheep. So I'm not a geneticist, all right. I'm not a biophysicist or anything like that. So I don't know what goes into the process of cloning something, but I would assume that it has to do with having the DNA of a sheep in order for them to biometrically, or however you call it, clone another sheep, which they successfully did. So my thing is, and they say that cloning a human is supposedly against the law in just about all countries or whatever the case may be. I don't think it's all countries. And what's to prevent, like, say, a country like like a Russia or communist country that basically do whatever the hell they want, North Korea, whoever, they say, you know what, we're gonna try to clone a human, and what that implies or whatever. I just think that it's just disturbing on so many levels, man. And I really didn't think about it before, but I think some of the concerns that some of us have in terms of, taking a DNA test and giving out DNA up for analysis or whatever, even if just for bloodline purposes or whatever, tracing our ancestry, I could kind of understand some of the concerns now. When I seen that article, I'm like, oh boy, here we go, because remember, we're only going to know what they tell us publicly in terms of what they're doing. Right? They're not going to ever let us know exactly what they're doing behind closed doors, right? They'll give us a little bit of something and then keep the rest for themselves, if you know what I mean, right? So anyway, I'm going to get into this article about them talking. They want to modify a, catfish with alligator DNA to create hybrids, man, for human consumption. I mean, just the title alone is disturbing. They want to take alligator DNA, inject it into catfish to create some hybrid of some type that we can eat. First of all, as Israelites, we all know the catfish is unclean. Okay, catfish is a scavenger, number one. And I'm sorry, not sorry, but I don't want to eat no alligator. So I mean, why? How they even got this combination is beyond me. But anyway, I'm going to go into the article and then come back. I'm going to continue on with the rest of my commentary. All right. So now it says scientists are modifying catfish with alligator DNA to create hybrids for human consumption. And my apologies. I thought this was I read the number wrong when I saw when this article came out. This article actually didn't come out until 2 days ago, February 5th, 2023. And the source for this article is a Miss Hannah Getahan, right? So, all right, so let's get into it. Scientists are modifying catfish with alligator DNA to create hybrids for human consumption. Mm. And it says scientists at Auburn University injected alligator DNA into farm-raised catfish. The scientists found that the fish were more resistant to disease and less likely to reproduce. They hope the new and less disease-prone catfish will one day be sold for human consumption. Geneticists have created disease-resistant catfish using alligator DNA, and they may one day become a part of our diet. A group of scientists at Auburn University published a paper in January detailing their efforts to genetically modify catfish with the cathelicidin gene of an alligator. Oh God, what's that? Cathelicidin, found in the intestines, is an antimicrobial peptide responsible for helping organisms fight disease. The gene, which was added using CRISPR, heightened disease resistance among the catfish in comparison to wild catfish. Researchers noted that the survival rates of the catfish were 2- and 5-fold higher in an interview with MIT Technology Review. Because researchers added the cathelicidin, I can't even pronounce that word, to a gene for a reproductive hormone, it also reduced the catfish's ability to reproduce, which they said was important to prevent genetic contamination of the hybrid fish with the wild catfish. The authors noted some uncertainties in using CRISPR technology primarily used and studied in mammals on fish. The paper has not yet been peer-reviewed. However, researchers hope that the alligator and catfish gene editing can be used in tandem with other catfish breeding techniques to help farmers with their catfish yields. In 2021, an estimated 307 million pounds of live catfish were produced in the U.S., primarily in the South. Catfish make up over 50% of U.S. demand for farm-raised fish. The process of farming them is resource intensive. Diseases spread among catfish due to lack of space on the farms where they're raised. Around 45% of catfish fingerlings die as a result of infectious diseases. Fish in general are also becoming less resistant to antibiotics. Although consumers may be comfortable with the idea of their catfish sharing DNA with an alligator, Rex Dunham and Bao-Feng Su, two of the lead researchers of the study, told MTR that the hybrid meat would be perfectly safe. Quote, "I would eat it in a heartbeat," Dunham told MTR. Man, see, they use phrases like farm raised to take away from the fact that catfish is an unclean fish. Okay, it's a scavenger. That's why the Most High forbid it, and as well as other foods, to the children of Israel, because it is unclean. It's not meant for human consumption. And see, when they use that word talking about modifying stuff, see that's the thing, man. Modifying it means that it was not meant to be that way. Because if it was, the Most High would have had it so. You understand? So, we're in a position where it's like, here we are once again stepping into things that we have no business stepping into under the guise that it'll help with quote unquote infectious diseases, whatever the case may be. So they make the purpose and the theme seem admirable and like they're really trying to help humanity. And really what they're really doing is they really don't know what they're doing, because they don't know. When you modify something, that means that it was not naturally meant to be that way. So you don't know what the final outcome could be, what it could do, what it could mean, moving forward. When you start talking about injecting alligator DNA into a catfish, I mean, it just the sound of that just sounds, I don't know. And no, thank you. I would not consume it. I would not touch it. I wouldn't go nowhere near that, man. I mean, I know they say, with GMO stuff, just about everything we eat is genetically modified. I get it. But when you start talking about crossing animals and putting the DNA of one animal into another and talking about feeding it to humans, that's a bit much for me, man. I'm just saying, I'm not even trying to be like, extra with it, but that's just a bit too much for me, because the Most High God was very explicit. And that's why we have to, adhere as Israelites to our dietary laws, right? When the Most High tells us to do something or not to do something, it's not, we're not supposed to question him, because the Bible tells us that there is no wisdom, no understanding or counsel against the Lord. And what that means is that we don't get to ask him why, right? The Most High is the poster, example for you doing it as he says, not what he does as a parent, right? Because he made us. He is the potter. We are the clay. We don't get to question God, period. Right? So if he says that this is unclean to you, pork is unclean to you, catfish is unclean to you, tilapia is unclean to you, whatever, all these scavenger foods that we traditionally eat, especially here in the South, is unclean to you. There's a reason he's telling us that. There's a reason he's telling us not to eat it, and we have to trust his wisdom. How's the old expression goes? I may not understand God's decisions, but I have to trust his will, or something like that. Well, that's just it. If the Most High tells us that these foods are unclean to us and we shouldn't consume them, then we should know automatically that he knows better than we do, and we shouldn't eat it. Period. Point blank. I don't care talking about a farm raised and this and that. You can put all the colorful titles with it and make it sound all good and safe all you want to. But the bottom line is, I don't care what type of process you put through pork or pig. The pig is a nasty animal. You can't even poison a pig, right? Like seriously, like black folks down here in the South, traditionally what we've eaten stuff like chitlins, and all chitlins is basically is pig excrement caught up in their guts. That's all. That's why it smells like that, because they're basically it's the excrement. It get caught up in their intestines, and when you cook it, that excrement is still there. That's why it smells like crap, because that's basically what it is. I have never in my life even no chitlins has ever reached my lips ever. I could never consume something that smelled like that. I'm sorry, not sorry. And I'm from the South, born and raised. But nah, chitlins, I ain't never ate chitlins in my life. I don't care how much hot sauce you put on it and all that. And miss me. I'm good. I'm good on the chitlins, dog. You know what I mean? So anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think about this, man. I mean, scientists, genetically modifying, using DNA to, genetically modify a catfish by injecting alligator DNA into them so humans can eat. How do you feel about that? And is that something that you would even, well, as far as Israelites, I already know what y'all gonna say, but still, tell me what y'all think about this, man, about scientists just overstepping their bounds once again, crossing DNA, and what kind of effect that could have on us as a people, as a culture, and really as a race. Talking about genetically modifying animals for human consumption. Just the thought of that is just it's really disturbing. So anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section, man. Until next time, this is Dr. Eben signing off, saying Shalom, Elect.